Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Sharice Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Sharice Walker, and today I'm here with Jennifer Lloyd. And I love that she is a mother of 6, as am I. And she also talks about empowerment and really taking care of yourself and how to dress for success and a whole bunch of other things. So, Jennifer, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself, and we will go from there.
Well, Sharice, thank you so very much for having me today. I can't wait to just share my message with your viewers in hopes that I can inspire and maybe transform some lives here. I'm reporting from a ranch. My husband and I, we manage a multi-million-dollar corporation, but we also manage a huge family. I'm a mother of 6 kids. And meanwhile, being a mother of 6 kids, I went through all these transitions in my life, just like many of us. At one point I'm breastfeeding, the next minute I'm chasing kids, on the school bus or volunteering at the school. I always tried to find ways where I could make an impact, also feel very good about myself. And so a lot of the times when I was in those transitional moments, I was volunteering for nonprofits or giving my time serving as an elected official, because I thought at one point, I'm like, you know what? I want to have a title. I want to feel like I'm important and making a bigger impact in the community. So I decided to put my name in the hat and became a school board director for several years. After that experience, when COVID hit, I found a purpose to pursue my passion. I've always been involved in makeup artistry, as well as I took photos of my clients after I was done with, working with them in my makeup chair. And I realized that I had an opportunity here to really hone in on a niche, which was beauty photography. So there I went. I jumped into my own business, and we've been in business for over, I'm going to say 4 years now. And I've really found where I could put my impact, not only in the industry that I love, which is beauty, but also empowering women who are transitioning back into the workforce. So I partnered with Dress for Success and have been using my skills and my talents to really impact that community. When you think about transition, it's not just mothers. We're talking about women who are being forced to go back into the workforce because maybe, they're dealing with some hardships. We have grandmothers who are having to jump back in. We have immigrants who are new to our country that need access. And so I really found that having a professional photo really does give you an advantage when recruiters are looking for you online.
It does. Absolutely. It does. I mean, it's hard to say, and you don't want to admit to it, but very first thing that you see when you see somebody is their appearance. And if it doesn't meet what your opinion is or what you're looking for, then, they move on to somebody else, unfortunately.
Absolutely. It's so competitive out there. I mean, you think about just how, inflation's have really hurt us as Americans here. It's put a lot of pressure on all of us. And so, I think a lot of women, we're feeling kind of bogged down, especially if you have a lot of kids, because we're like, how do we go obtain a full-time job? Well, I just want to encourage you that it was through those transitions that I found my purpose. And even if you are making incremental steps to open your own business or use your talents or gifts to just make some income, I just want to encourage you that it's very possible. That's something that I did. I started very small. I had my studio from home. There was an investment with the camera and the lighting, but my clientele was a small niche group of women, but then that word of mouth kept growing. And I just want to encourage you to start small. You want to invest something in yourself, spiritually, physically, as well as mentally, every single day. And as you continue to build your business, you'll continue to build that revenue. And that was something that I felt really strong about, because I didn't believe in myself that I was able to build some financial independence for myself. And I know that if you are a woman who is passionate about something, you can definitely seek assistance. There's free organizations such as score.org. I utilize that organization. It's funded by the Small Business Administration. And basically you'll be attached to a mentor. And these are executives from corporations and business owners who will help walk you through the steps of becoming a business owner, or even answering some of your questions about taxes and laws, and directing you to the right path or paperwork that you may be challenged with. There's also an incredible organization that I partnered with, which is Dress for Success. They offer career training, and all of this is free, and they're located in many different cities around the world. Actually, there's 144 affiliate offices. And again, this nonprofit provides free access to wardrobe training sessions where you can learn about soft skills, hard skills. I know in Seattle, Washington, Dress for Success is partnered with some major corporations, so they're giving even free laptops.
Wow.
And yes, and technical training to women who have just been out of reach for some time. So there are some options out there.
That's amazing. I had no idea that that's available. And that's why I do this podcast, is because my whole goal is to help women who are wanting to support themselves. A good example is my husband. I have always my entire life been the breadwinner. And that's something that I didn't want to do to begin with.
Yes.
But it happened. And so then divorced the husband, remarry another. And so he's very much like, I will take care of the family and I don't have a problem with that. But I'm like, I can't give up that. I don't want to feel vulnerable and have to depend upon somebody. And so anyway, last year was the first year that I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give this whole mom thing a shot, and I'll still do my stuff on the side, but I don't feel like I have to carry the family anymore. And Friday he came home and he goes, I just got fired. I'm like, oh, and luckily, I mean, I'm still working and I'm still doing stuff like that. But, that's a scary feeling. And for some women, it's, what do you do? And so I think that we don't have to depend upon men, but the economy is changing and it's difficult to be able to just have a one income type family anymore. And so that's the whole purpose of this, is to help women say, you know what, you have a passion, you have a purpose. Let's make this a business where you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. So the things that you're giving is fantastic information. Thank you.
Yeah. There's also an emotional component too. When women become mothers, we sort of lose ourselves, right? Like we put so much effort into how our kids look, how our kids are feeling. And then we're always usually the ones who are last to be taken care of. And I realize that women lose their sense of self. And for me, getting back into the workforce and feeling like I'm doing something was actually for me, it was for my growth, because I felt like there was so much more that I wanted to give. And I know that, with apps like Etsy, for instance, right? Or even shop, you can even have a storefront on Amazon. There's so many options for you to use either your gifts or your talents and make some revenue off of that. One client that I worked with, she told me 2 years ago that she always had a dream of opening up a storefront. She wanted to have her own boutique where she sold gowns that were inclusive to all sizes, because she's a fuller sized woman and she always felt embarrassed and challenged because there was never any gown stores that had anything that fit her. And we just launched her business just a few weeks ago. And I'm going to tell you what, it took guts, but it also was a vision that she set forth in her mind. And it just goes to show you that, if you really want something and you want to pursue a career or open a business, that it's very possible. I think there's so many women that would love to support you. You just have to find a good group of women who will give their time. For instance, she reached out to me and I provided her headshots for clients. That generated some leads for her, as well as an email list. And then we had another gal who was really good at media, so we were able to get some media behind her grand opening. And so I would say, find a group of women and research women who you admire, and someone that you look up to, or someone who's in that business field that you want to jump into, and reach out to them and ask them questions. Just tell them, like, I've always admired your work. Can you share with me some tips, or how can I support you on your next venture? Because you'll find that a lot of women will want to help you.
I love that. Okay, confidence. This is a new podcast, and my vision for it, what I want to accomplish. And then, you go and look at how many people have viewed it and you're like, how can I get the word out? And so then sometimes it starts to play on your psyche, and it's, oh, you're not this, you're not that. And we all have that, the imposter syndrome. And so how do you or what advice do you have for the listeners? How to lean into your most confident self?
Yeah, the only way that you can really build confidence is to take actionable risks. So just what you're doing right now, you're putting yourself out there, putting your work out there. It's so easy to compare ourselves, but I have to share with you, even though people may not be liking or subscribing or
Mhm.
sharing, they're still observing. You're still growing. There's still growth that's happening. And I just want to encourage every one of your listeners, just get started. And I felt that same way when I first started with my photography business. And um, I felt very challenged because I would compare my work to seasoned photographers who have been in the business for, 10, 20 years. And here I am just starting off. But one thing that you have to realize is that you're just going to continue to grow. And through that process of feeling like you failed
Mhm.
or feeling that you're not good enough, you're actually gaining momentum and gaining that confidence. So you just have to continue, just keep going. Um, Another way to build confidence, and I think a lot of women forget this piece in business, is that you should partner up and collaborate with other names and other businesses. Don't forget to include um, that collaboration piece, because you're actually going to gain a greater reach.
Yeah.
So
True.
oftentimes I will, reach out to someone who's in the same kind of business industry and see if we can do something together, because I know that they have a bigger audience or an audience that I would love to have
Mhm.
follow me. So I think collaboration is a key part of that growth as well.
I 100% agree. I mean, it doesn't matter what coach you talk to, it doesn't matter what person it's all about networking. And if you're not willing to network and get yourself out there, then people aren't going to know you. Grant Cardone, if they don't know you, they can't flow you, And it's
Exactly. So this is something that I discovered, and I want
Mhm.
to share this
Right.
because it was like a light bulb that went off in my head. So, in the corporate world, you'll network by going out having some drinks, or you'll go to a company event or a sponsored event. But I think nowadays it's so important, especially for young women or women who are in business, and their moms. We can't afford just to go out late at night and have
Right.
cocktails
Mhm.
and smooch that way. Another way of networking is just providing a service for free. And
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy,
Yeah.
but if you were to offer your talent, your services to someone who you admire and say, hey, can I work with you for a day?
Mhm.
Or volunteer with an organization that you know that eventually, if you partnered with, that they would help you with a reach. Um, that is considered networking.
Right.
They're understanding your value, your worth. You're building those relationships through those moments. Yeah, you might not be getting paid, but you are gaining great access as well as an opportunity. And I would always encourage people, do not say no. Always be willing to give your time and to use that time to network.
Yeah, it's true because it's either time or money. And if you don't have money, then you need to give your time. There's a lady, and she said that for a year and a half, she volunteered with this one guy that she wanted to learn from. She goes, I will do whatever you want. I will go get your coffee. I'll go get your water. He's like, you're like this executive type person. She goes, I don't care. And she did. And because of that, she learned from him. And then obviously it turned into much bigger opportunities. And so being willing to give is very, very important. I say that, but I also want to asterisk it by not being taken advantage of, because if people know that they can come to you. I have this one client that for years I thought of her as my daughter, and I'm a real estate agent and as also a lender, and I've given her free advice. I've taken her to look at homes. I've done all these things because I know eventually it will come back. Well, she called me a couple weeks ago and she's like, hey, we bought a home. Huh? And she didn't call me and she didn't use me as the lender. And I'm like, what? And now it's going south very quickly. And she's asking for my advice. And I'm like, that's a tough one. I don't know if I want to give you my advice anymore. I said, contact your real estate agent. I don't know the details. I can't give you the advice that you're looking for. And so, learning to not be taken advantage of, but what you're saying is so important because it's totally different.
I think you're absolutely right. A relationship has to be mutually
Yeah.
beneficial.
Yeah.
And I say that because I've been in that position as well, like where women or someone just
Yeah.
wants to just kind of use you to
Yeah.
get somewhere.
Yeah.
But we have to be smart. We have to
Yeah.
realize that our time is valuable. And so that relationship has to be mutually beneficial.
Right. Right.
And it has to work. It has to work for you. So if it's not working, then it's not a relationship that I would continue investing in that capacity where you're just giving free advice or free time.
Yeah. No, and I think, I mean, follow your intuition. You'll know what you need to do.
Exactly.
So you came from pretty humble beginnings, right?
I did. So my parents are immigrants to the United States. My dad's Japanese, my mom's Korean. And while we were children living in Korea, I lived in a cement box with no running water and no indoor bathroom. My mom would make a makeshift toilet out of a little trash can. And I remember just watching her clean that trash can several times a day because she didn't want us to go out to the outhouse. And when I think back at my childhood, it does give me some trauma, but I think that trauma has also really empowered me to make some bold decisions as I was growing up. Living off of government subsidies wasn't fun, but I realized that there are disparities out there, and especially affecting minorities. And because we were immigrants, I recognize that now I have the time and the resources as well as the knowledge to be able to help women who might just need access to employment, and women who just need an extra hand. And I'm not shy about that. And I feel like God is using my past trauma, my experiences, to really help other women. And so I feel like it was meant to be that I had those experiences, and I'm able to really feel grateful to live in a country where we have so many great opportunities to thrive. And it's my place to encourage women that if they want to pursue a dream, they can absolutely achieve it. And it's the possibilities are there. You could do it.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And I just wrote this book. It came out in May that talks about your iceberg, the trauma that you have and how sometimes you don't realize. And once you do realize, then you can be healthy. And yes, you can go make an impact on the world. You can do other things. And I love that you've done that. You've flipped your iceberg and you've been able to make an impact that, follow your calling that you just feel called to do, not only with your children, but also with other women and other businesses. So thank you. So you are 46, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about living your best life. And so how do you tell people that the best is yet to come? What do you mean by that?
Absolutely. I feel like my dreams are still coming true. I was stuck when I was a kid because my parents were so focused on survival mode. They were in survival mode every single day. There was no focus on any ambitions or anything that the kids wanted to do. We just needed to get through the day. And my mom, I'd watch her stretch every single dollar. But with hard work and with ambition, I think that even it doesn't matter where you started, your circumstances and where you started, eventually that hard work is going to pay off. And so I'm watching now as my children are getting older, and my youngest is 7, but I'm able to have more flexibility in my life. And this is what I mean about transitions, because it feels like you're in that daily grind where you're just raising children, and you're setting up the dinners and doing the laundry and carpooling. And it's just this repeat of chores and responsibilities. But eventually life is going to take you through another journey where you're going to have a little bit more freedom and more time. And it was through that time and that transition where I was able to pursue some of my wildest dreams. For instance, walking in Paris Fashion Week. I have some experience being a model when I was a younger teenager, and then even through my early 20s. But it takes work. It takes work even if you have a dream like that at my age. So I really invested a lot in my fitness, as well as developing healthier habits, because if there's something you want to do, a dream, it's really about your habits and how disciplined you are. And so even at my age, I'm able to pursue some crazy dreams like walking in Paris Fashion Week. I'm traveling the world right now as Mrs. Queen of the World, and using my platform for women and children, and advocating on those important things. And that is something I would never have imagined 20 years ago. But I believe that if you have a dream and you want to pursue something later in life, it's never too late to get started.
Wow. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
You're so humble. It's just,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I really admire you. I think that it's fantastic. It's my last question to you, and I've kind of switched this question. I used to say, if you're sitting on a park bench and you're talking to your 19-year-old self, what advice would you give? But I'm not going to ask you that.
Okay.
Because I realized that, as I'm going back through all of the episodes, the title is Unbreakable Mompreneurs. And we talk a lot about business, but we don't talk a lot about moms. And so because of that, I want you to imagine yourself still sitting on that park bench, but a pregnant woman who's like, this is her first child, she sits down on the park bench next to you. And having the 6 kids that you have, you've been able to experience all of the ages so far. And how old is your oldest?
We have 30-year-old twins.
Oh, that's so weird. I have 24-year-old twins. That's crazy.
Yes.
Okay, so you have really you have the gamut. And so I want you to give advice, and not necessarily to the new mom, but any advice that you could give that you've learned from your 30 to your 7-year-olds. What advice would you give that mom?
Well, I'm going to get very personal here because this really affected me, and I also watched it with my mom. Mental health is so very important for a woman, because if you're not mentally strong, it actually affects your family.
Right.
And I think when we lose that self-confidence and our self-worth, it really is a tragedy, and it's because we lose our sense of self. And for me, I didn't feel very worthy at certain points, even though I was successful at raising my family and being the best mom that I could be, because I wasn't really healthy, because I didn't put a lot of time into myself. And so I want to encourage more moms, especially young moms, to give yourself grace and allow yourself time to just focus on yourself as well. And it's really, really difficult because it feels good. It feels right. Just give everything you have into the family, into your husband, but you don't want to lose yourself. Yeah. It's so very important that you continue to keep those friendships that you have and continue to do reflection a lot. Like, you should always look and ask yourself, what ways that you can improve, how can you care for yourself, because it's so easy for women to get lost and then deal with mental health issues because you don't like the way your body looks. You feel like you don't like the way you're dressed, because you're not spending time looking for pieces that will flatter your body. You feel like you're not the same person anymore because you're just not taking time out for yourself. So I would definitely encourage new moms to just give yourself grace, but also do self-care.
Fantastic advice. And all I can say is amen, because that is true. I mean, and because you're taught that if you're a mom, you need to give all of yourself, you need everything. All your time needs to just be sacrificed to the children. And, sometimes as the kids get older, you're like, I kind of feel like I'm being walked on right now, or they're kids, so they don't realize they don't understand that, you give everything that you can. And so you absolutely need to do that self-care. Thank you for that. So if people want to find you, or our listeners want to find you, how would they get a hold of you?
Go to my website. It's mrsjenniferlloyd.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, Jennifer Lloyd. You can find me on Instagram at Jennifer E. Lloyd. And my artistry page is also located on my website. I'd love to hear from you, and give me a follow.
That's fantastic. Well, Jennifer, you are a great example, and congratulations for everything that you have going on. And thank you for all of the advice for women, and especially how to get started in a business and the resources that are available. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.